What was the highest waste of money that you don't regret? I spent $56,000 on college for a degree I don't use, but I met my husband there, so I really can't complain. If I divide that over the nearly 25 years we've been married and consider that he's the best of dudes, it is a pretty good deal. My first paycheck I bought a $900 wedding cake. Me and my brother had no way to get it home since it didn't fit on our skateboards. We just had a cake fight in the parking lot. My brother passed away shortly after that. I still think about that day whenever I'm sad. I worked as a window cleaner. I'd rappel down the side of 30-plus story buildings. I got into a stupid fight with my brother, so I found a game he had pledged on Kickstarter, Space Haven, and saw that for $360 I could write a pre-made character bio that would randomly show up. So, I pledged it and wrote a character bio with his name and made him a flaming idiot. I have never played this game and don't want to. I've been a big guy all my life. Like really big. Dressing comfortably was always my preference because being stylish just isn't an option at my size. This was always a source of anxiety at any social event that required dressing up. When I realized I had 4 weddings of close friends all coming up within the year, I decided to bite the bullet and get some decent formal clothes. I spent $800 on a suit jacket, $250 on 2 pairs of dress pants, a little over $300 for 3 shirts and 3 silk ties that were between $70 and $100 each. I stood for all my measurements and had everything tailored to my exact specifications. Did a fitting and had a second round of alterations on the pants so they actually looked decent, even though I wore them under my gut. People were floored when I showed up to the first wedding. I received so many compliments and actual double takes. Being introduced to new people felt completely different. I felt impressive. Some of those weddings were the best times of my life, and it was due, in no small part, to how those clothes looked and made me feel. Some of those friends have big pictures from their weddings hanging on their walls, and I don't cringe in embarrassment when I see myself in them. Those clothes cost more than I have and had ever spent on clothing in a 10-year period, and they were worth every penny. The summer after graduating high school, I won a decent amount of money playing online poker. Since I wasn't going off to college and all of my friends were, I decided to buy them all ridiculous going away gifts. A carpet, mailbox, toilet seat, etc. were among the gifts. The most expensive and ridiculous gift I bought on a whim was a massive wheel of cheese, somewhere between $200 to $300. Little did I know at the time that Cheese Wheel would set off a yearly event called Cheese Giving, where our entire, much larger now with spouses and kids, friend group gets together to celebrate and partake in cheesy goodness. I rented a car at the track, which is why it was so much. You can bring your own car or rent one there, but they don't allow commercial rental cars. Individual laps were I think €20 each at the time. €600 for an hour of laps, 3 of 20 minutes each, around the Nürburgring in Germany. It was open in the off-season and there wasn't a single other car near me the whole time. 10 over 10, one of the most thrilling experiences of my life. I spent hundreds of euros on broken musical instruments because they were pretty. I have since bought spare parts and started repairing them. I found my destiny. I bought the $350 Lego Ghostbusters Firehouse 5 years ago. I was a huge Lego kid in the 1980s and loved Ghostbusters. When they announced the set, I told my wife that I was buying it. Ridiculous expense. It is set up in my home office and will never come down. I spent $120 for a towel heater. I will never dry off with a cold towel again. My older sister is obsessed with the Witcher games, so I paid the main character / Geralt's voice actor to wish her a happy birthday. My mom was diagnosed with cancer a year after my dad died unexpectedly from cancer. I went to the animal aid thrift shop, bought a bunch of odd dishes, put down a drop cloth, and threw them at my house while screaming. I don't regret 1 second of that temper tantrum or 1 dime I spent to make it happen. I eventually made a couple of beautiful mosaics out of the pieces. And my mom is 6 months cancer-free. Due to poor insulation and distance from the water heater, my shower is never properly warm in winter. I just bought a single endpoint tankless water heater for just my shower. Best $150 I ever spent. Could I really afford it? No. Did I need it? No. Do I love it? You bet your sweet bippy I do. Back in high school I was about to go on my first ever date and I made extra money to make sure I had enough, around $600 the day before our date. She gave me a letter and she basically broke up with me. Being a teenager, I had no control over my emotions, as being brought up in my family would say guys shouldn't cry over anything, but I had no way to process it. So after school I went to 7-Eleven, bought 2 large Slurpees, 6 hot dogs and got a prepaid card and bought a bunch of NECA action figures. I actually had a good weekend because I honestly splurged on that money and got into action figure collecting as well as practice stop motion, which ended up helping me to pursue animation career. I am about to finish and ready to apply to Stop Motion Studios. I spent about 6 grand on MC/DJ for my wedding. But he was the most professional MC I've ever met. He coordinated all the sound with the videographer, the caterers around the speeches, pre-planned all music and mixed songs to be the perfect length. I didn't worry about a thing on the day. Finally found the motorcycle I wanted years ago but could not get. It was not running, but after around dumping $3,500 into it and doing a full frame-up restoration and custom job on it. I have the bike I wanted years ago, but better. I did everything myself, full paint job, tank frame, fenders, everything. I also did a full engine rebuild, remade the wiring harness, everything was all done in-house. So I put a touch over $3,000 into a bike that is only worth about $1,500. But hell, it is mine and I built it. I got $27,000 and spent it on a solo cross-country road trip that led to me moving on the complete opposite side of the country from everyone I've ever known. I was in a dark place in my head. The original plan was to find a nice place to end my story, but the trip itself helped me reconsider, so absolutely no regrets to speak of. I spent $300 on a mule. An actual living, 4-hooved, long-eared mule. We raise cattle, so a protection mule was a good excuse. But, really, I just fell in love with him. He's huge and sassy. He'll steal your hat and run away. He's got a ninja mode where he can sneak up on you, just to breathe down your neck or startle you. He does keep the coyotes away. However, he has proved himself priceless because he eats thistle. When we got the lease on the land for our cattle, the pastures had been neglected and were in bad shape. Thistle is a spiky plant that spreads across the pasture, choking out grasses. Cows won't eat it. It's really hard to get rid of. To our surprise, the mule cleared out nearly all the thistle in a matter of months. He would eat the flowers out of the center. He saved us an enormous amount of money and labor. We were able to avoid using chemical weed killers, which we really didn't want to do. Probably the best investment in our whole cattle raising experience. I paid $800 for a front seat helicopter tour of Kauai for me and my wife. Totally worth it. Dining at a Michelin-starred restaurant in Milan. We had an 18-course meal with wine pairings for like $400 or so. I spent $3,000 for my wife to meet the Backstreet Boys and get front row seats. It is the best thing that has ever happened to her, and the smile on her face after the show and look of pure bliss in someone who suffers often from anxiety was worth every cent. Back in 2017, my family went on a road trip to Minnesota to visit my Nana shortly before she passed. During our stay, me and my little sister went to the Mall of America and bought whatever we wanted. Big ice cream cones, Lego store souvenirs, tickets to the aquarium, fare for every indoor amusement park ride, a doll from the American Girl store, and eating an expensive lunch in the store with your new doll sitting at the table with us. Little sis, it's all yours. I dropped over $300 in that one small trip, but damn, it was one of our best shopping days ever. We still talk about it to this day. My first university degree, but it was really my parents' money that I wasted. I don't do anything related to it now. I went back to get the degree that I wanted, and everyone told me would be a waste of my potential afterwards. I now work in that field and love it. Moving away from home was one of the best things that happened to me because it allowed me to grow a lot as a person. And also, my road bike, which was $4 grand, but I love every second on it. When I was younger, I came into a sum of about $15,000. I wasn't very careful with the money, and other than putting $5,000 down on car, I blew the money here and there. But what I put the largest amounts toward were friends in need. I paid one friend's power bill just before it got shut off. I helped another friend keep her water on. I never could keep my hands on money for long, but I don't regret having wasted it helping friends. Yes, I spent $600 on a cat litter, but my house never smells, I don't have to scoop litter, and I only have to empty the drawer once a week. Definitely worth it to me.